The time is 10 o'clock. Good morning, Nigeria, and happy Friday. Yes, it's another edition of your favorite weekend program, Disability Inclusion. We're glad to have you on this edition. If it's your first time listening, Disability Inclusion radio program is a weekly spotlight program that talks about everything that has to do with persons with disabilities. So we like to highlight the challenges they face in the society, the opportunity and their rights that they ought to enjoy, and of course we give you information, we give you awareness on what to be informed about and what to get enlightened about as it concerns persons with disabilities. Now today's edition is going to be informative, it's going to be educative, it's going to be enlightening, and we're here to create advocacy, of course, awareness, and not just that, action. So today's topic is building inclusive and credible elections for all Nigerians through electoral system, strengthening electoral system now. But before then, our guest for today is an EU representative. So we have the team lead, EU SDGN Component 1, as our guest, Mr. Rudolf Elbling. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes, correct.
Elbling, Mr. Rudolf Elbling. But we like to give you information on what's happening in the community of persons with disabilities. So stay with us as we come up with our news updates.
This is the news updates. I am Utube Niyo. In the news, South Africa highlights gaps and progress in disability inclusion across Nigeria's electoral system. South Africa, with support from the European Union under the EU SDGN2 program, convened a reflection session in Abuja to present and discuss the findings of its newly developed Political Inclusion Index, an evidence-based tool assessing the efforts of key electoral stakeholders in promoting the participation of persons with disabilities, PWDs, in Nigeria's political processes. The index, based on a rapid survey conducted by an independent consultant, evaluated the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, political parties, media institutions and security agencies on their compliance with the Electoral Act, the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act, and other existing frameworks that guarantee political participation for PWDs. The event brought together leaders of political parties, civil society organizations, media representatives, and members of the disability community. In his remarks, Mr. Zisimus Vegas, Deputy Head of the European Union Delegation to Nigeria and ECOWAS, described the index as a valuable tool for measuring progress and driving reforms. He called attention to the growing achievements of PWDs across sectors, and emphasized the need for continued institutional commitment to inclusion. Presenting the findings, lead consultant Omojo Adaji noted that while INEC has made commendable progress in disability inclusion, scoring 95 out of 100, its current framework, introduced in 2018, is now outdated and in need of review. She recommended that the framework be updated to align with international best practices, emerging technologies, and evolving needs of persons with disabilities. TAF Africa's founder and CEO, Ambassador Jake Ebele, stressed that inclusive political participation must begin within party structures. If political parties are not strong internally and democratically, we cannot be strong nationally or subnationally. Running exclusive party systems only weakens our democracy, he said. The reports recommended that political parties adopt internal disability quotas, that the media improve content accessibility through closed captions, sign language, and audio descriptions, and that security institutions strengthen their communication with and support for voters with disabilities during elections. While there have been measurable improvements, particularly by INEC, the index shows that much more remains to be done to ensure that electoral systems, party structures, and public communication platforms are accessible, inclusive, and compliant with national and international obligations. The reflection session concluded with a collective call for stronger collaboration among stakeholders to address identified gaps and use the index as a working guide towards more inclusive democratic governance in Nigeria. And that's the news statement. My name is
Are you ready to be inspired, informed, and empowered? Introducing Mikeability, the podcast that amplifies the voices of persons with disabilities and champions a disability-inclusive society. Every 2 weeks, we dive into crucial conversations about accessibility, employment, education, healthcare, and policy implementation. We are shedding light on what it truly means to create equitable opportunities for everyone. When the society includes us, everyone benefits. This isn't just about us, it's about a better future for all. Join us as we celebrate the achievements and contributions of persons with disabilities, share actionable insights, and spark meaningful change. Whether you are an advocate, a policymaker, or just curious to learn more, Mikeability is your platform for awareness, advocacy, and inclusion. Subscribe now to Mikeability on all our major podcast platforms and follow us on social media for updates. Join the movement towards a society where everyone belongs. Because disability is not inability, it's strength, resilience, and limitless potential. Mikeability, amplifying voices, empowering change.
Alright, we're back on the program Disability Inclusion this fantastic morning in the nation's capital. Well, today's edition, like I said earlier, is building inclusive and credible elections for all Nigerians through electoral system strengthening. So elections are, the cornerstone of every democracy, and for them to be truly credible, they must be inclusive of all citizens, irrespective of, their ability, background, or circumstance. So today's conversation focuses on how strengthening Nigeria's electoral system can lead to a more inclusive and trustworthy election. Now, with support from the European Union through the EU SDGM program, efforts are on the way to improve INEC's institutional, capacity, integrate accessible technologies, enhance stakeholders' engagement, and ensure persons with disabilities are fully included. This discussion will explore the critical link between electoral reforms, inclusive participation, and the credibility of Nigeria's democratic process. Our guest for today is the team lead EU SDG and DAI Component 1, Mr. Rudolf Elbling. Good morning, and thanks for joining us today.
Good morning.
It's good to have you.
Thank
Well,
you.
just to let you know that this program is audience participatory, and you can watch us virtually on Facebook at TAF Africa. So you can see us live. Drop your comments, drop your messages, your suggestions, or even questions, and we'll definitely be reading them out during the course of the program. And of course, the phone lines will be announced shortly. So just keep your questions and your contributions by a corner, and we'll have this discussion together. So let's move on, to the discussion proper. Could you start by giving us an overview of DAI and Nigeria's role in the EU SGM program, specifically under Component 1?
Thank you for having me. Component 1 is dealing with INEC mainly.
Okay.
And we work very, very closely with INEC on several areas like institutional development, institutional change, institutional improvements, election tech, communications. We work with the Training Institute, we work on legal reform. So a broad range of activities and programs we do with INEC. We base those on our findings and thoughts of where weaknesses exist and where support is required and also requested from INEC, because without them buying in, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So these are the areas. Of course, we work with departments, with directorates, but also with certain commissioners, and also with the Office of the Chairman, where we have 3 senior advisors to the Chairman. So that's what it is. Of course, it's a very broad spectrum, and it's as I said, it's built on. The program was built on the recommendation of the Election Observation Mission of 2019 and several other observation mission reports, as well as the INEC review of the 2019 elections. We have a team of 4 experts. I work very closely with very, very senior election expert, a former commissioner, and so we have quite some good access and quite some senior advice we can provide to INEC.
All right. So what does enhancing the credibility of elections, what does it look like in real terms, and why is it so central to democracy in Nigeria? See,
we must not see elections or INEC in isolation of these way bigger picture. I often have the impression in Nigeria, when we talk election, when we talk democracy, we talk INEC.
Yeah.
It's not the case. It's much broader. INEC, in the end of the day, should not be much more than the organizer and the referee of an election, full stop.
Okay.
But through this concentration on INEC in the election, it becomes much, much broader. But you have to think, who are the other players in this? And to have a credible election, you need every player play by the rules. Every single one. And you don't only have INEC, you have the parties, you have the security agencies, you have civil society, you have the voters, you have so many groups, you have the governors, etc., etc., etc. And the question is, do all of them play by the rules? I'll let this question answered by Nigerians.
Yes,
There's not for me to answer.
Yeah.
So a credible election, but an election is about representation, right? So you go to the polls, you vote, because your ideas, your political attitudes, whatever, have to be represented by a candidate, by a party. That's what you want. Now, if the people don't play by the rules and your votes, your representative is not, coming in, then the whole thing is futile.
Yeah.
So if the representation is not guaranteed, democracy is a very, very empty concept, and government is not legitimate. Full stop. So the simple answer is everybody must play by the rules, and the rules are there. You know, the election law of Nigeria is not a bad law. It's good. The constitution has everything. There are regulations, guidelines. Everything is there. You have the disability legal framework. Everything is there. Implement it. That's the only secret.
Yeah. So we are actually posing that question to you. Are you playing by the rules? That is the question that we have for you. Are we truly practicing inclusive governance? Are we truly practicing, democracy as it concerns persons with disabilities in our society? I keep asking the question, most times, during the program, would you vote for a person with disability as either a governor, as a local government chairman, for any leadership position?
That's where we go. We talk elections, but look at the role of persons with disabilities in society. Do you see a CEO of a big company who is a person with disability? A media senior, a TV, a radio presenter? No. Local government chairman or council members or whatever. You don't see them. And as long as you don't see them there, you won't see them in political positions. And the more important thing for me is that, and that's what my good friend Jay Capella said, you have to get people with disabilities into the political parties. Because there they can represent the community and work on their agenda. So voting, yes, you have to create the election process as inclusive and accessible as you possibly can. I mean, if you look at the polling stations, it's appalling. Often you have to cross a ditch of a meter deep and a meter wide. I see hundreds of them. How are you supposed to get over there with a wheelchair? If you're there at the polling booth, your vote is not secret because you're not protected. All these things are smaller things, but extremely, extremely important.
Yeah.
The security of the people has to be secure. They are stigmatized, and you know that. It's in society. It's very, very difficult for them. But don't forget, there are between 10 and 20 million people with disability in this country. It's a huge constituency. And actually, political parties, if they will be clever, should address them because it's a huge voting group.
All right, you can actually call the numbers 0808-281-4453 or 0915-091-0483, 0808-281-4453 or 0915-091-0483. You can also watch us virtually on Facebook at TAF Africa and drop your comments, questions or contribution, to the program. What do you think the political parties can do to enhance, adequate representation of persons with disabilities in our society, in the political sphere? All right, let us know. Call 0808-281-4453 or 0915-091-0483. Now, one of the goals under the component is to reinforce, INEC's institutional capacity. What are some specific areas DAI has worked on to improve INEC's operations and readiness?
We did a lot on technology. On technology, which helps them to, for example, we developed a very comprehensive and good training on a virtual training system.
Yeah.
Training of the poll workers is a huge problem, and you probably, as a voter, you've seen yourself that the performance of many of them is less than ideal. The training for these people is less than ideal. They sit in some dark room somewhere. The training methodology, some guy comes with the polling manual and reads it down. I mean, you don't learn, and that doesn't work, So we developed this system which allows to do all of this virtually, which means you can do it earlier, you can do it repetitively. There are inbuilt exams and whatnot, so it's a very comprehensive system. And don't forget, these trainings cost a lot of money. If you have to train 1 million people 10 days to election, it's a huge chunk of the election budget which goes in there. You can use this money for way better purposes. For example, people with disability inclusion. So it saves a lot of money. We captured about 90,000 coordinates of polling units. Why? Because we developed an interactive map, which is called the FLOC, Election Facility Locator, which will go online, and you can, if you say, okay, I don't know where my polling unit is, you click and say I'm so-and-so, and it gives you the way there, and it's connected to the database of INEC, and then tells you, okay, there are so many voters in this polling station, there are so many women, so many men, so many people with disabilities, etc., etc., etc. So this, for all 172,000 polling units. There is also a tool in there which allows INEC to work on the decongestion of the polling units. You know, there are polling units with 50, and down the road you have one with 3,000. You know?
Yeah.
So, of course, having 3,000 voters is a logistical burden. B, it's the voting experience for these people is poor. You stand there all day. It can be rioty, you know, and it's just not acceptable. And with this tool, you can, you know, shift voters from one to the other and equal it out, so every polling station has approximately the same number. So it's a tool for both for INEC and the voters. We upgraded the election monitoring and support center, which is a election operations tool where you can monitor what's going on election day, even before, you know, the logistics, the procurement. It tracks everything, and you can react in real time if something happens out there. So you see, the report is in, now what we do, it goes up to the chairman, they make a decision, it goes back down. So this kind of thing is a very, so these are, you know, these are the kind of things. We work very profoundly on communications. I mean, if you remember 2023, the whole communication around the failure of IRF was not very fortunate. I think INEC did themselves not a favor. They have communicated this badly. There are way better ways to do their crisis communication. That's what we're working on.
Just hold on a minute. We have a caller. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, and welcome to our guest.
Thank you so much. Who do we have on the line, and what's your location?
My name is Ogor calling from Zamfara.
Awal from Zamfara. Good morning, Inakwana. Hello, can you hear me? Hello, Awal. Oh, we lost you. Please call us back. So that's why we have alternatives like, you know, our Facebook live stream. So if you're unable to connect with us via our phone lines, you can just, you know, log on to Facebook, go to Tap Africa, and we are streaming live there. You can drop your comments. Definitely, we read out your messages or contributions you have to the program. You have on the program. Now, the numbers to call again are 0808-281-4453, 0915-091-0483. And now, speaking about questions, we have a question now from Amanda Chizaram. She says she's sending this message from Lagos. And she's saying, when accessibility is ignored, it becomes a rights violation, not just an oversight. So she's asking the role of, you know, the institution in ensuring the enforcement of the Disability Act. What's the role of, you know, the EU and other stakeholders in ensuring the enforcement, the proper enforcement of the Disability Act?
Well, it's a very good question. You see, the EU is not a Nigerian law enforcement agency. What we can do is through these. I'm not an EU representative. I'm the team leader for one of the components. But we are not, or the EU or any international organization for that matter, is not a law enforcement agency. What we can do is try to get the institutions responsible to enforce the legislation, or try to reform the legislation to become better and gives the people with disabilities a better accessibility. You are totally right. It's a human rights violation to don't give accessibility to people with disability, or any other person for that matter. Because if we talk about inclusion, inclusion is a basic principle of democracy and government. You know, if a society is not inclusive, then it's not stable, and if it can even lead to conflict. And if you look around the world, many conflicts are based on non-inclusivity of certain groups in the society, of ethnic, religious, whatever you have. And for example, Afghanistan, Libya, all these war zones are inclusivity problems. Right? So, and it's a human right violation. And I want to expand your question a bit, because who enforces all these other laws? We produced a booklet 2 years ago which lists all election offences. I will make it available for you. Every single one with the punishment.
All right.
None of them are
Sorry to interject. We have a caller. Hello, good morning. Hello. Hello. We hate to lose you. Please call us back, or like I said, just send a message, to our Facebook page at TAF Africa. We are streaming live. You can watch us virtually. Drop your comments and or your messages, and we'll definitely read them out. So, as you were saying, sir. Hello, are you still there?
Your call has been placed on hold.
Hello. Okay, you can go ahead, sir. You can go ahead. We lost the caller.
With this inclusion question.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. It is INEC who has to take care of this legislation. It's also you see, you have all these political party polling agents there, and voters. So everybody has to make sure that this is done. I mean, the voters there should also help person with disability to get this access. Of course, person with disability, depending on their disability, need certain instruments, like visually impaired. They need their braille and magnifying glasses. People in wheelchairs need ramps or just whatever they need there. None of this is provided. None of it, or very little. I mean, what's the big deal to put a few wooden boards over this ditch there? I mean, it's not a big deal, you know. And with this, you can provide accessibility. Then also, how do people with disability, let's say wheelchair-bound people, how do they get to the polling station in the first place? If they live 2 kilometers down the road, it's not easy, right? So somebody has to help them there as well. So there are so many things.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you. I also want to greet your...
Okay, yeah. Good morning to you. What's your name and where are you calling us from? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, you can go ahead. We can hear you.
Hello?
Go
Yes,
ahead,
ma'am.
please. We can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, please. We can hear you.
Please, what I want to say is that the people with disability, I think they should be permitted to cast their vote. Can you hear me?
Yes.
But the only thing I just want to call their attention to is that the political party should try to be proactive nowadays, so that, because the citizens of this country are voting for the one party or the other, so that they have not been gaining or seeing the dividends of democracy. so that the 2027 is also coming. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Many people, many parties are merging together again. So that what should be the fate of the people of this country? So that the APC, when Buhari was elected into the office, the merge. The people are hoping that the Nigeria problem is coming to an end. But we are still find ourselves where we have to be. So that the political party should be proactive and do what the people need whenever they are elected into any post. This is what I want to.
Okay. What's your name, please? We didn't get you. Your name. Your name and location. Hello. I wish I could get your name. Thank you so much. I think we couldn't get that. It's still Disability Inclusion on Network Service of Radio Nigeria. The phone lines are still open to make your contributions. 0808-281-4453 or 091-5091048. To remember, if you're having some challenges getting through to us via our phone lines, you can link up on our Facebook page at Tap Africa. We're streaming live, and just basically get a feel of what the studio environment looks like. We have our guest here. He's here to answer questions that you have perhaps. So we'll go on a quick break now. When we come back, the program continues. My name is still Jennifer Ogor. Just stay with us.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the
Okay,
nation.
so far?
Sorry?
Is it okay so far?
Yeah, of course. So we've gone 30 minutes into the program.
No, really?
Yeah, we have. So just remaining
Fast.
additional 30 minutes and we called it a wrap. So we're streaming on our Facebook page. So usually we have people watching us virtually. And of course, the phone lines are open for people to make their
That's what
contributions.
it's very bad.
Sometimes it's like that. I think it's the weather.
I think it's the building,
It's
the
the
concrete
building,
everywhere.
yeah.
It's a big building, walls everywhere.
Yeah. Alright. Thank you.
And maybe the studio is also soundproof, so
Yes, it is.
then so the
So it's built
signal,
that way.
signal doesn't get through.
Yes.
Yeah, but sorry, one change the chair. It's like it's not the chair. It's
Okay, it's not making you comfortable.
yes,
Alright.
yes. Making you to
Yeah, with this one I fall to sleep.
exactly. That's how I want to do it. That's what we're changing it.
So sleep on Facebook is not.
We're worrying about that. That's enough first. Okay. Alright, so the camera is very steady. That's good.
Where are you from?
Sir, I'm from Nigeria, Delta State. Yeah.
From Delta. Okay. That you're from Nigeria, I thought.
Of course I know.
I'm from Austria.
Austria,
Not Australia, Austria.
Austria, yeah.
Married to a Nigerian lady for
Oh, really?
17 years.
Wow, where is she from?
Imo.
Imo, alright. Oh, that's nice.
So I worked here first time in 2006, we put it 2007 on. Then I came back for 2019. Well, in 2020. But how was it?
Alright, so you see me trying to tell us that we all have, habits that goes due to care. Well, we don't know. And of course, that beautiful hit was sung by the one and only Simi Sola, the wife of Adekunle Gold. And of course, it's still Disability Inclusion on Network Service of Radio Nigeria. My name is still Jennifer Ogor, your host. This program talks about everything that has to do with persons with disabilities. So perhaps you might have had, a stereotypical idea or ideology about persons with disabilities, and we like to clear some of all those, wrong perceptions, negative perceptions that you might have about a person with disabilities. So let's remember that a truly great nation is the one where every voice is heard and every person with or without disability has a place at the table. Inclusion is not charity, it's justice. So today's edition, we're talking about building inclusive and credible elections for all Nigerians through electoral system strengthening. And to have this discussion with us, we have the team leader, EUSDGN, DAI Component 1, Mr. Rudolf Elbling. So far, he's been, talking to us and interacting with us about the duties of, his team now, alongside all the stakeholders like, TAP Africa, INEC, and, other electoral umpires as it concerns persons with disabilities. So the phone lines to call are 0808-281-4453, 0808-281-4453, or 0915-091-0483. For you watching us virtually on Facebook, would like to entertain, this some suggestions from you, some questions from you, and of course your contribution to the program. Let's perhaps talk about this topic together, and let's see how we can prefer some solutions into making sure that we have a hitch-free and disability-friendly, inclusive election. Now let's move over to our guest again. As the lead on monitoring, evaluation, and visibility for the EUSDGN program, what impact has DAI observed so far from these interventions, especially in promoting trust and participation from, underrepresented groups like persons with disabilities?
Well, we had just recently, there was a midterm evaluation team there, and the outcomes were a mixed bag, to be honest. Some of the interventions created results, others not so much. But we have to understand that all of us in EUSDGN work in an extremely difficult context. So we're up against odds which are very, very different, very, very difficult to overcome. We are not very big. I mean, if you see the stakeholders in the elections, with what budgets they operate and with what political power they operate, it's very, very difficult to achieve change there. We, of course, our DEI project with all these technology interventions, with policy interventions, we have achieved a lot. But the problem often is that people think because we do that, the election gets much better. We don't have this impact. Parts of it get better. But then the whole election does not necessarily. Because we work, in the end of the day, we work with a small group of INEC in headquarters. INEC is 15,000 staff. The election happens in the state, in the local government. It doesn't happen in the headquarters, So many of the things we do here might not trickle down there, or are not wanted to be implemented. So as I said, I think TAF made a lot of impact in the legislation and in the advocacy and in the, let's say, voter education and bringing people with disability on the screen in the first place, because not much was talked about. So there are successes, but it's still a long way to go, honestly. But if I may, because you address election system, the term election system often. An election system is something different. We work on the election process. An election system is something different. The election system you have here is, a constituency-based first-past-the-post system, which in my view is one of the basic problems of non-inclusive government. If you would have, let's say, a party list system, you could say, right, seat place number 2 in the election is reserved for a woman, place number 3 is a person with disability, you know what I mean? Bam, 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 bam. So you're forced. There is not these primaries with billions of naira floating around. So this is gone, and it's more inclusive. But this is a constitutional matter. But this is my strong opinion. that the election system must be changed.
Okay, so what lessons have emerged regarding, barriers to electoral participation for persons with disabilities, and how are they being addressed?
Well, you see, the report that TAF Africa has done gives a lot of indication of what needs to be done, and they are the specialists in this field. I just want to go back to the very simple answer I gave in the first question. Execute the rules, the laws, and everything is there and do it, And of course there's a lot to do in the society to accept people with disabilities as members of society in the first place. In the private sector, I've never seen a pastor in a wheelchair, or an imam or whatever, So these are very, very important things. Only if the president they
All right. Sorry. All right. So the phone lines are still open for you to make your contributions. Kindly call us on any of these numbers. So the phone lines are 0808-281-4453 or 0915 0910483 0808-281-4453 or 0915 0910483. We're here to talk about building inclusive and credible elections for all Nigerians through electoral system strengthening. And then we have our guest, Mr. Rudolf, the team lead, EUSCGN DAI Component 1, with us today to have this discussion. You can also watch us virtually on Facebook at TAF Africa. So now, the question now again is, do you believe that inclusive voter education and civic awareness are gaining grounds in Nigeria? In your opinion, what gaps do we need to urgently pay attention to?
The voter education efforts over the last 10 years most certainly hit home, and it was the awareness and the knowledge of certain things about the election process last time in 2023 was enormous. Okay. But still, I think, I don't have the evidence, but I think it's a certain group, mainly young people who use social media and the internet. They get a lot of it, while I'm still very, very sure that you have groups of people, large groups of people, illiterate people who do not use the internet, who have no clue. I'm very, very certain, and these are the people we have to reach. And I think what needs to be done to make this better is a bit of a kind of research and assessment, and say, okay, where do we know we have knowledge, and and then target these groups with specific messages and this kind of stuff. It still needs to be done. Civic awareness, I think, is going well as well. I think this is a very important topic. It's much broader than voter. You have to talk about democracy and government, and to understand why we do election in the first place. And it's government which has to be credible. It's government which has to be legitimate in order to represent the people.
All right, it's still disability inclusion. Now time where we look at what the Act say about opportunities for employment and equal rights to work. Now, according to Section 29 of the Disability Act, all employers of labor in public institutions shall have at least 5% of persons with disabilities in their employment. Section 28 of the Disability Act guarantees a person with a disability the right to work and earn a living in a labor market or work environment on an equal basis with others and free from hindrances to employment. Now, persons and companies who breach this provision are liable on conviction to nominal damages of a minimum of 250,000 naira payable to the affected person. When an individual commits the offense, it's 500,000 when the company commits the offense. Now, principal officers of the company also are liable to pay 50,000 naira damages to the affected person with a disability. I think it's time where we begin to enforce, these laws, the penalties that comes with discrimination in any form of it, so that people will begin to understand that this Disability Act is real and we're serious about implementation. Well, it's still Disability Inclusion on Network Service of Radio Nigeria. Next is our Star of the Week. Do stay with us.
Of the week is Adebola Anofi. Despite his physical challenge, Anofi, who is a member of the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, CORE, has shown that there is a lot to achieve in the face of disability. Anofi has distinguished himself as a shining light to many disabled persons in the country. In the last 10 years, he has been able to successfully run a renewable energy company, White Consort Technology Limited, following the accident that confined him in a wheelchair. His company has been able to deploy renewable energy solutions of different capacities, ranging from 1 kVA to 60 kVA. One of the landmark achievements of the company was the successive installation of 60 kVA power capacity for Lagos State government parastatal. In the face of his disability, Anofi has advised other physically challenged Nigerians to look beyond their appearances and invest in their development. He said, and I quote, "When one is physically challenged, the first thing one should do is recognize their challenge. After recognizing your challenge, you need to make sure you build a system around your challenge. These I have been able to do, and I also try to give back to other people who are physically challenged and attend our orientation programs. What is your excuse for giving up? Be inspired. Say no to defeat in your life." And that's it from me. My name is Lucky. Back to the rest of the program.
Still Disability Inclusion on Network Service of Radio Nigeria. Still here to talk about building inclusive and credible elections for all Nigerians through electoral system strengthening. And the phone lines to call are 0808 281 4453 0915 091 0483 0808 281 4453 or 0915 091 0483. When you're at your polling station during an election and you notice that polling station or polling unit doesn't have ramp, for example, or you can't even find a disability friendly environment now for persons with disability, what do you do as an individual who do not have any form of physical disability that is noticeable? Do you just turn a blind eye to the fact that the polling station is not accessible, or you do something about it? And that is why we say this cause of disability inclusion must involve everyone, whether you have any form of disability or not. We still have our guests in the studio to delve more into the discussion. Now, technology plays a huge role in elections. What efforts are being made to ensure that innovations introduced into Nigeria's electoral process are accessible, to persons with disabilities?
Well, I've been mentioning before that one of these inventions we did was this the election facility locator, which provides a very good tool for everyone and also people with disability to find the polling station. Plus, you have the numbers for INEC now. You have the numbers right there of people with disabilities in every polling station, which gives them now the information what they need to do. Whether this is, for visually impaired or for wheelchair or whatever disability people they can cater for it, right? So technology. We also work now. We have improved the recruitment system for ad hoc staff. So where the databases carry much more information, it's also possible there to include people with disabilities as poll workers, not only as voters. We have to look across the board to include to include persons with disabilities. I mean, all the applications, all the systems we develop have in a particular polling station. Also, in concern to people with disabilities, are there any human rights violations? Are there any security violations? So they can intervene. We are developing now a system which actually brings the polling station live, so you can see what's going on there on your telephone. It's a virtual election observation situation in which we are working on, in which we introduce in Anambra probably. We work with TAF on the election observation, also in Anambra, where we use this election observation, virtual election observation, and TAF will be able to put some features in there which cover the disability context. So across the board we try to cover inclusivity matters in everything we do, not only technology, but we do a lot of procedural work, reviewing manuals of collation, reviewing manuals of the RATEX, etc., trainings. But we can also look, and this is an idea, we have to look into the matter of maybe including more people with disabilities as ad hoc staff in the elections. I think that's an important thing to do, because they bring the understanding what's needed.
Yes. So what are the key priorities moving forward to ensure that Nigeria's elections continue to improve in credibility, inclusion, and accessibility?
For sure, we concentrate rather on the electoral work with INEC, but I think a lot has to be done in the political parties. A lot. To include people with disabilities in the parties, in electable positions, from the local government up to the highest level. For political parties to address people with disabilities as a huge voting group and represent their needs, listen to their needs, what they need, and make it their agenda to have this in their party programs. Try at best as we can, and I think civil society has a big role to play, that this Disability Act is enforced. Media has to knock on this, that a constant monitoring of this is going on, and it's brought to light what's going on, where it's enforced or not. So there's a lot of things one can do from all sides. I think there's still work to be done with the security agents. We did something 2 years ago. I mean, it was led by TAF, which has helped out. That there was also a booklet produced for the security forces which deals with the special needs of people with disabilities. So this needs to be taken care of, because TAF back then said many people with disabilities don't even want to come out because they don't feel safe. So various angles, institutionally, but also from a civil society part, to push for the execution of the legal framework.
Okay, now finally, how do we ensure that inclusion is looked upon not as charity but as a right? How do we move inclusion beyond the charity approach?
Well, yeah, it's I think here we have to dig deeper than just elections. I think here it starts with society. I think I don't know what stigmas, what problems people with disabilities have to deal with in Nigerian society. I don't know that, but I can imagine there are issues.
So I just got a message now, and the person is saying, as someone who works closely with the disability community, I've seen where inaccessibility has made inclusion feel like a form of exclusion. One particular difficult experience was during a government event, and a person with disability using a wheelchair couldn't access the main hall due to a poorly constructed ramp. One person suffered a serious injury, and the only accessible entrance was locked for months afterwards. And she's asking, how inclusive is that? So what's the duty of an ordinary citizen who, especially the government and all the stakeholders involved in making sure that the society is truly inclusive?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a long process. Also, where I come from, let's say 20 years ago, nobody took care about people with disabilities at all, and slowly, political parties took it on as their program. Now, every government building, every public building has to be disability friendly. There's ramps everywhere. Everything, the toilets are, except
Yeah.
It is a given today, but it was a long way, And I don't know whether people with disabilities are fully accepted where I come from, even today, So it starts really in the family, in the village, in school, wherever,
Yeah.
There were, and I think one shouldn't even think about the person. He has a disability. It's just a person. That's the thinking you must have. Not oh God.
Yeah.
They don't want pity. I don't think they want pity. They want to just be.
Yeah, they want to feel dignified, and that is why we like to drive this awareness and this consciousness into making you understand the concept of disability inclusion. Like our guests said, you don't look at the disability first. You look at him or her as a person, and then before you begin to look at the disability, and of course the rights that they have in ensuring that the Disability Act is duly upheld. And this is why we call it a wrap on today's edition of disability inclusion. For more information on the activities of TAF Africa, visit our website at www.tafafrica.co or send a message to 703 112 4423. Many thanks to our guest, Mr. Rudolf.
Thank you
for honoring our invitation today.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, for all the information you've given us. Now, to our callers who were unable to reach us, we sincerely apologize. I also want to appreciate Owl from Zamfara. And the other caller, I actually didn't get your name, but you made a vital point and the role of political parties in ensuring that we have an inclusive democracy. Many thanks to all of our viewers on Facebook. We see you. Now, the engineer on duty has been Adeyemi Solomon and Christy Ankali. The studio manager has been Uche Enebeli and Tijani Abdul. The ICT team has been Oluwadamilola Akimpelu and Mimusani Mohammed. The social media team has been Jachimike Udibu and Yonav Kohol. This program is brought to you by TAF Africa and funded by the European Union through its support to democratic governance in Nigeria program. Loki Omonuwa is our producer for today's program, and I remain your usual host, Jennifer Ogor, urging you to have a wonderful Friday and a beautiful